Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seat. Please take your seat and mute your phones. Thank you to our wonderful musicians, Anton Pesachov and Yevgeny Vapniyarsky. Thank you. Willkommen, bienvenue, welcome, Bruchim Habaim, bienvenidos, amigos, chers amis, Chaverim, distinguished guests. 2 years ago, we were celebrating under the most unusual circumstances. We organized a hybrid ordination because we were still in the middle of the pandemic. Today, we are fortunate to gather in person to celebrate the ordination of 3 new Masorti rabbis. Although our time remains a time of crisis, and you may think crisis is too big a word, but we haven't gotten through the pandemic yet. Not only that, we have a war going on not far from where we are. And at the same time, we are destroying our planet due to our greed, ignorance, and indifference. And we, at the Zacharias Frankel College, are facing our own crisis, a struggle for renewal and independence, a struggle for the change in structures and leadership. Now, often in leadership, a declaration of independence is followed by a war. I'm thinking of the United States and France, and of course Israel. As we speak, Frankel College is facing its struggle for independence. But crisis does not only mean destruction. First of all, it means change. Change with the chance of renewal. It's a liminal space, and these are transitional times. Actually, when you think about it, all of these threats and challenges go back to a crisis in leadership. But here we are, training and ordaining the next generation of leaders, rabbis made by the Frankel College. I'm not implying that our rabbis can solve all of the world's problems, but they will help us navigate and transition. They will help us to stay true to our values and to plant ideas and to raise disciples to carry these ideas further. The Hebrew word for leadership is manhigut. It derives from the root found in the word hitnahagut, which means behavior. So leadership has more to do with one's action than with his or her title. Moreover, in modern Hebrew, the verb linhog actually refers to driving a car, not riding in a car. So being a leader is being active and not passive. It means to act responsibly. But what is responsible behavior? And what is good leadership? And do different times need different types of leaders, hence different types of rabbis? And what kind of rabbi can you expect will emerge from the Zacharias Frankel College? Today we ordain the following leaders: Angael Atias, Andres Bruckner, and Irene Muchas-Kalpe. We asked each candidate to choose a quote from a text that is important to them. Angael chose the verse from Psalm 119, which starts with Et la'asot la'Adonai hefaru toratecha. It is time to act for the Lord. They destroyed your law. Suggesting in her reading of the text an understanding of the different crises we are facing, as well as an obligation to face them. And Andres selected a quote from the first book of the Torah, when God tested Abraham, and Abraham responded with, Hineni, here am I, demonstrating his readiness for the responsibility that the rabbinate requires. Irene chose a quote from our commentary literature, the Babylonian Talmud. Those who know Irene know her passion for superheroes. I need that slide now. This inspired me to introduce a new form of commentary to our tradition and to this ordination. I invited the wonderful cartoonist Ben Gershom from Amsterdam to illustrate our ordination and to draw portraits of each of our candidates, characterizing the main message of their talk. So Ben Gershom cannot be with us today, but we have a slideshow downstairs, so when you are at the reception, and you're going to see all of the cartoons he made in advance of the ordination about the ordination. So you have the opportunity to look at that at the reception. Be aware that our candidates will deliver their shiur, each of them in a different language. Angael will speak in her native tongue, French. And actually, we've provided translations into German and into English. So please later on raise your hand, and we have people going around to give out the translations. Andres will follow in German, the language of the community he will serve in Bochum, Germany. And Irene will conclude in English. So as you see, our rabbis speak many languages, and I dare say every good rabbi is by nature international. The rabbinate grew out of a synthesis between the roles of prophet, priest, and king. From legal judge to decision maker, from interpreter to pastoral counselor, from teacher to scholar, the rabbi as crisis manager and an agent for social change. Synthesis is the key word here. Synthesis and collaboration. The collaboration between the secular and the religious. The Frankel College is part of the University of Potsdam, a secular academic institution. Rabbi Jonathan Sachs once said, "Science takes things apart to see how they work, and religion puts things together to see what they mean." And Frankel, in that sense, has a unique voice to add to the University of Potsdam and to the School of Jewish Theology. But for this voice to be heard, we need independence and at the same time, integration. What we need and what we want to demonstrate is the ability to work together and to profit from the unique attribute that each rabbinical seminary at the University of Potsdam, the Zacharias Frankel College, and the Abraham Geiger Kolleg has to contribute. To collaborate, not to submit. To build, not to impose. I not only welcome you to this ordination, but I also invite you to see how we work, how the Frankel College works tomorrow and on Tuesday, because we will open our gates for a limud on the topic leadership in times of crisis. Masorti rabbis from around the world, as well as our graduates, will discuss and seek answers to our trying times. Now, speaking of collaboration and support, I do want to give special thanks to all who made this event possible. Frankel student Nick Herman, Jewish studies scholar Nimrod Baratz, historian Miriam Tulin, students of Jewish theology Julia Schulz and Yael Aibinde, my dear colleagues from the Abraham Geiger Kolleg, Tobias Barniske, Susanne Goran, and Caroline Naumann. The team from Masorti, Germany, Rabbi Gisa Ederberg, Deirdre Berger, and Eva Franzen, and for moral and as well as financial support, Freddie Rambraum, Secretary and Treasurer of the American Friends of Zacharias Frankel College, and our graduate, Rabbi Netanel Olhöft. The Frankel College operates under the religious instruction of the Ziegler School of Rabbinic Studies in Los Angeles. Their deans also function as our deans, and we are proud of this partnership and their leadership in helping the Frankel program continue to grow. And now I would like to call to the stage our Associate Dean, my dear friend and my colleague, Rabbi Cheryl Peretz, who will open our event with a blessing. Dear Cheryl, welcome once again.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, chacham harazim. Blessed is Adonai our God, ruler of the universe, who knows all secrets. This is the blessing that the Talmud prescribes when gathering in a huge number in the Jewish community, 600,000 in fact. Don't worry, I'm not planning to overstate the numbers of people that are in attendance today at this momentous occasion, but its message and lesson is the perfect kavanah for this moment. Gathering in large crowds, it's easy to look out and see undifferentiated faces, even when we know that we should be able to recognize the multitude of individuals whose minds and bodies are different. So the Talmud reminds us that only God knows the secrets of each one of us. As the preeminent commentator teaches us, Rashi, who teaches us, just as two faces are alike, so too no two people's ideas are alike. But most important for our sages is that God knows the thought of every individual, and that means God values the individuality of each and every person. We gather on this splendid afternoon with perfect weather to mark the sacred transformation of the lives of three remarkable individuals. Families and friends, rabbinical school colleagues who in good time will find themselves standing on the same precipice of committing to serve God and the Jewish people. Community members, teachers, and rabbis, so many rabbis, come together for this joyful and momentous occasion to celebrate. We come from the four corners of the world, all over, different continents, and we are bound by a commitment to the Jewish people and a desire to celebrate the continuing flourishing of Masorti Judaism. We may speak different languages, and in some cases we use different approaches to serving God. Some have never met one another, and our gathering might feel like looking out on a sea of undifferentiated faces. Still, each one of us, each one of our graduates, each one of our new rabbis brings their own story, their own culture, their own history, their own mirror, their own memory, their own tears, their own dreams, and even their own laughter to our communal representation. For that diversity, we bless God for the miracles that helped each one of us to get to this place in this moment together, and for the enrichment it offers our collective. We ask you, O God, to help each of our speakers, the new rabbis, their presenters, and our amazing dignitaries, to find the words to bring honor and meaning to this sacred and solemn moment, to bring renewal and consecration. We pray that God bless us with the ability to hear the words of Torah and of God within those multitudes, and that in doing so, we find ourselves in the midst of a Kehillah Kedoshah, a holy community. We pray that our new rabbis join those already ordained in finding ways to let every moment be a moment of prayer and a moment of offering to God, recognizing that all modes of speech, the written word, the spoken word, music, art, body language, and even silence, can all be expressions of holiness, of prayer, and of meaning. Baruch atah, Chacham Harazim. May the hidden uniqueness individual of each one present here today be a source of inspiration and of blessing as we confer the title Rav B'Israel, teacher and preacher in Israel, upon Angael, Andres, and Irina. And let us all say, Amen.
The Zacharias Frankel College is blessed to enjoy the support of many partners, and we express our gratitude to them all now. I'm pleased to call upon Professor Oliver Günther, President of the University of Potsdam, the academic home of the Zacharias Frankel College, to share words of greetings. Please, Professor Günther.
Liebe Frau Anasiewicz-Bär, liebe Rabbi Cheryl Peretz, sehr geehrter Herr Lehrer, sehr geehrter Abgeordneter Funke, liebe Frau Attias, liebe Frau Musas-Kalpe, lieber Herr Bruckner, sehr verehrte Festgemeinde, dear guests. Dear guests, I was told to speak German, and of course I do everything what Frau Anosiewicz-Beer tells me. But I would like to extend a special welcome in English to those of you who came from very far to be here with us today on our beautiful campus here at the University of Potsdam, our campus am Neuen Palais, that was, as you probably know, built by Frederick II about 260 years ago. Frederick II, also called Frederick the Great, one can say many different things about him, but one thing that is certainly true is that he was a proponent of the dialogue that you alluded to between science and religion right here on campus. He had many famous visitors, including Voltaire, and that was a thing that he was very passionate about. The difference is that they had that dialogue in the castle and not here, because that was the stable of Frederick the Great. But I think it behooves a liberal democracy past the monarchy that we convene in such a place and not in a castle. But I think we're in the right place to celebrate together and to also celebrate that kind of model that we have here, a Jewish theology, Masorti theology at a secular university. I think that's a wonderful construct that is worth saving. So let me switch back to German. Letzten Sommer, meine sehr verehrte Festgemeinde, konnte das Europäische Zentrum jüdischer Gelehrsamkeit in Potsdam in Anwesenheit des Bundespräsidenten Frank-Walter Steinmeier feierlich eröffnet werden. Das Zacharias Frankel College hat gemeinsam mit dem Abraham Geiger Kolleg seine Räume hier auf diesem Campus im sogenannten Nordtorgebäude, nur einige Schritte von hier entfernt, bezogen. Ein Ensemble aus dem 18. Jahrhundert, das zu Friedrichs Zeiten den königlichen Hofgärtner und Kastellan beherbergte. Hier werden nun gemeinsam mit dem angrenzenden Institut der Universität, der School of Jewish Theology, vom Abraham Geiger Kolleg und dem Zacharias Frankel College Rabbinerinnen und Rabbiner ausgebildet. Ossip Flechtheim bemerkte, Zitat, ohne die Vermittlung durch die Institutionen bleiben Ideen ohnmächtig. Ende des Zitats. Mit dem Zacharias Frankel College hat die Universität Potsdam auch für Masorti den institutionellen Nährboden geschaffen für ein sich ausdifferenzierendes, selbstbewusstes und reflektiertes neues Judentum in Deutschland. Die Rabbinerseminare sorgen dafür, dass jüdisches Leben in Deutschland mit Rabbinerinnen und Rabbinern, die an unserer Universität ausgebildet werden und gleichzeitig der Tradition verpflichtet sind, eine solide Zukunft hat. Das Zacharias Frankel College kann heute, auch dank des großartigen Engagements von Ihnen, liebe Frau Anosiewicz-Beer und Ihren Mitstreiterinnen und Mitstreitern, zum dritten Mal Absolventinnen und Absolventen ordinieren. Sie, liebe Frau Attias, liebe Frau Musas-Kalpe und lieber Herr Bruckner, stammen aus dem Ausland, aus Marokko, aus Spanien, aus Kolumbien. Sie haben aber in Deutschland an unserer Universität Potsdam die einzigartige Möglichkeit ergriffen, Theologie, Recht und praktische Weltweisheit miteinander zu verbinden, auf einem säkulären Campus. Am Puls der Zeit und auf dem Fundament der Tradition werden Sie zukünftig als Gelehrte und Seelsorgerinnen, als Pädagogen, Predigerinnen und Projektmanager jüdisches Leben in Deutschland und Europa bereichern und neue Impulse geben. Hierfür danke ich Ihnen, wünsche Ihnen alles erdenklich Gute. Das Zacharias Frankel College, Sie können es meinen Ausführungen entnehmen, ist aus der Universität Potsdam nicht mehr wegzudenken. Erstmals eine jüdische Theologie an einer deutschen Universität, erstmals in der deutschen Geschichte. Überfällig, da wir alle wissen, dass die katholische Theologie und die protestantische Theologie seit Jahrhunderten ihren Platz an deutschen Universitäten haben, nun eben auch die jüdische Theologie und die muslimische Theologie. Ich mache kein Hehl daraus, dass ich als junger Mensch dieses Modell etwas befremdlich fand, Säkular und Religion auf einem Campus zusammenzubringen, aber ich habe mich in dieser Frage völlig meine Meinung geändert. Ich finde es wunderbar, hier auf einem säkulären Campus dieses Miteinander zu pflegen, denn so schaffen wir den Dialog zwischen Religion und Wissenschaft, zwischen säkularem Leben und religiösem Leben, den unsere Gesellschaften weltweit so dringend brauchen, um sich miteinander, untereinander zu verstehen und sich nicht zu bekriegen. Deswegen ist dieses Modell so wichtig. In dem hier Masorti-Rabbinerinnen und Rabbiner für Deutschland und Europa ausgebildet und ordiniert werden, ist jüdisches Leben und Lernen in Deutschland institutionell fest verankert und auf Dauer gesichert. In Zeiten eines zunehmenden Antisemitismus, auch hier in Deutschland, ein außerordentlich wichtiges Zeichen. Sehr verehrte Festgemeinde, Sie wissen, dass an unserer School of Jewish Theology schwerwiegende Vorwürfe gegen Dozentinnen und Dozenten erhoben wurden. Vorwürfe der sexualisierten Gewalt, Vorwürfe des Machtmissbrauchs, Vorwürfe des Plagiats. Sobald mir diese Vorwürfe bekannt wurden, habe ich eine unabhängige Kommission gebeten, diese Vorwürfe zu untersuchen. Die Kommission wird am kommenden Mittwoch um 9 Uhr in einer Pressekonferenz ihre Ergebnisse öffentlich machen, in voller Länge. Wie oft in solchen Problemlagen ist die Lage differenziert zu betrachten. Manche der Vorwürfe haben sich bestätigt, andere nicht. Bei denen, die sich bestätigt haben, werden Konsequenzen gezogen, um dieses Modell der jüdischen Theologie an der Universität Potsdam weiterzuführen. Und meine Damen und Herren, ich bin zuversichtlich, Ihnen heute hier sagen zu können, ich bin zuversichtlich, dass die School of Jewish Theology und die affiliierten Colleges das Modell insgesamt gestärkt aus dieser schwierigen Lage hervorgehen wird. Ich bin gewiss, dass es uns gemeinsam gelingen wird, die jüdische Theologie und ihre beiden Ausbildungsstätten, das Zacharias Frankel College und das Abraham Geiger Kolleg, nach diesen ereignisreichen Wochen und Monaten in ruhiges Fahrwasser zu bringen. Lassen Sie uns deshalb, meine Damen und Herren, zuversichtlich in die Zukunft der jüdischen Theologie und der Rabbinerausbildung an der Universität Potsdam zu blicken. Ich danke Ihnen sehr herzlich für Ihr Kommen. Ich freue mich auf eine wunderbare Feier mit Ihnen. Metav Halchulim.
Thank you, Professor Günther, for your words of support and encouragement. We are pleased to have with us Abraham Lehrer, Vice President of the Central Council of Jews in Germany. The Central Council represents the interests of the Jewish population in Germany, and the work of the Central Council made it possible for Jewish life to return to Germany. Let's welcome with me Abraham Lehrer to share his words of greetings.
Bevor ich mit der Begrüßungsarie beginne, lassen Sie mich ein persönliches Wort vorneweg schicken. Gestern Abend habe ich mit meinem Enkelsohn geskypt und dann fragte er: Opa, wo fährst du denn hin, was machst du morgen? Daraufhin habe ich ihm gesagt, ich habe gehört, da sind so 20 bis 30 Rabbiner und die soll ich begrüßen und die soll ich grüßen. Dann sage ich habe die Idee, Elli, willst du mitkommen? Dann kannst du doch zählen. Er ist jetzt 3 Jahre alt und das Zählen ist ganz, ganz wichtig. Und damit Sie fürs nächste Mal wissen, mein Enkelsohn sagte, nee, das ist uninteressant, Opa. Ich kann jetzt bis 100 zählen, dann würde ich mitkommen. Also bitte fürs nächste Mal. Sehr geehrte Damen und Herren Rabbiner, Shavua Tov, sehr geehrter Professor Günther, sehr geehrte Rabbinerin Perez, sehr geehrter Herr Landtagsabgeordneter Schaller, Herr Gemeindevorsitzender Joffe, lieber Gideon, liebe Frau Aniszewicz-Beer, liebe Mitarbeiterinnen und Mitarbeiter des Zacharias Frankel College, liebe Studierende, meine Damen und Herren. Ich freue mich sehr, heute zusammen mit Ihnen erneut eine Ordination von Rabbinerinnen und Rabbinern in Deutschland zu feiern. Es ist seit 2017 bereits das 3. Mal, wir hörten es, dass der Zentralrat der Juden das Frankel College dazu beglückwünschen kann, Nachwuchsrabbiner in ihr Amt einzuführen. Wir wissen sehr gut, wie viel Arbeit dahinter steckt, nicht nur für die Kandidatinnen und Kandidaten selbst, sondern auch für diejenigen Menschen, die Rabbinatsstudentinnen und Studenten auf ihrem Weg begleiten und vor allen Dingen ganz tatkräftig unterstützen. Ich möchte Ihnen an dieser Stelle eindeutig versichern, der Zentralrat der Juden würdigt Ihre Arbeit und steht fest zum Zacharias Frankel College als rabbinische Ausbildungsstätte, heute und in der Zukunft, genauso wie zu allen anderen Hochschuleinrichtungen, die der Zentralrat in den vergangenen Jahren gefördert hat. Denn das jüdische Leben in Deutschland kann nur dann blühen und gedeihen, wenn wir weiterhin dafür sorgen, dass alle Strömungen des Judentums geeigneten rabbinischen Nachwuchs heranziehen, der auch und vor allem der jüngeren Generation die Traditionen und Werte des Judentums vermitteln. Wir haben gerade das Laubhüttenfest Sukkot gefeiert, und das erscheint mir in diesen Tagen besonders symbolträchtig. 7 Tage lebten die Israeliten laut unserer Überlieferung an ihrem ersten Lagerplatz nach dem Auszug aus der ägyptischen Sklaverei in Hütten, in provisorischen Behausungen mit Dächern aus Baumzweigen, Blättern, Bambus oder Stroh. In solchen Hütten, natürlich unter viel bequemeren Umständen als damals, haben wir uns in der vergangenen Woche aufgehalten, um Sukkot zu begehen. Im 5. Buch Moses heißt es, ich zitiere, das Laubhüttenfest sollst du 7 Tage lang feiern, nachdem du das Korn von der Tenne und den Wein aus dem Kelter eingelagert hast. Du sollst an deinem Fest fröhlich sein, du, dein Sohn und deine Tochter, dein Sklave und deine Sklavin, auch die Leviten, die in deinen Stadtbereichen Wohnrecht haben, und die Fremden, Waisen und Witwen, die in deiner Mitte leben. Zitat Ende. An dieser Bibelstelle, meine sehr geehrten Damen und Herren, können wir den Geist des Judentums erkennen. Eine Religion, die sich nicht nur um ihre Angehörigen sorgt, sondern auch um die Fremden unter uns. In Zeiten des immer noch andauernden russischen Angriffskrieges gegen die Ukraine erscheint mir das wichtiger denn je. Und ich möchte mich ausdrücklich bei der Masorti-Bewegung in Deutschland dafür bedanken, dass auch sie einen beträchtlichen Anteil bei der Unterstützung und Integration jüdischer Flüchtlinge aus der Ukraine geleistet hat. Im Vergleich zu den Menschen, die aus den Kriegsgebieten zu uns geflüchtet sind, geht es uns Juden in Deutschland sehr gut. Wir wohnen nicht in Hütten, wir haben ein Dach über dem Kopf. Doch das bedeutet natürlich nicht, dass wir keine Probleme hätten. Von den Preissteigerungen bei Energie und Lebensmitteln sind insbesondere jüdische Zuwanderer betroffen, die von kleinen Gehältern, kleinen Renten oder Sozialleistungen leben müssen. Und das sind nicht wenige, eher gesagt die meisten unserer Mitglieder in den jüdischen Gemeinden. Dazu kommt unser Lieblingsthema, ein wachsender Antisemitismus, wie er sich Anfang des Monats bei dem vermutlichen Angriff auf die Synagoge in Hannover an Yom Kippur gezeigt hat. Dieser Steinwurf, der zum Glück nur durch ein Fenster getroffen hat, lässt die schlimmsten Erinnerungen an das Attentat auf die Synagoge in Halle an Yom Kippur vor 3 Jahren wieder wach werden. Damals wurden die Beter nur durch die schwere Holztür vor den Schüssen eines rechtsextremistischen Attentäters bewahrt. Wir sind uns der Gefahren bewusst. Und der Zentralrat der Juden setzt sich, wie Sie alle wissen, mit Nachdruck dafür ein, dass die Sicherheit unserer Gemeinden in Deutschland oberste Priorität für die Sicherheitsbehörden ist und auch bleibt. Während der Corona-Pandemie haben sich Hass und Hetze gegen Juden in diesem Land offener als zuvor wieder Bahn gebrochen. Umso mehr brauchen wir Rabbinerinnen und Rabbiner, die Ruhe und Optimismus ausstrahlen und den jüngeren Gemeindemitgliedern zeigen, dass Deutschland ein Land ist, in dem Juden immer noch gerne leben, allen Anfeindungen zum Trotz. Sehr geehrte Mitarbeiterinnen und Mitarbeiter des Zacharias Frankel College, selbstverständlich kann das Ergebnis eines Studiums in Potsdam auch sein, dass in Deutschland ausgebildete Rabbiner auch in anderen Ländern tätig werden, wie Sie, liebe Frau Kalpe, in Zukunft als Rabbinerin in Spanien und Sie, liebe Frau Attias, als Rabbinerin in Frankreich. Das zeigt, dass die am Zacharias Frankel College erworbenen Abschlüsse im Ausland nicht nur anerkannt, sondern auch in der Praxis geschätzt werden. Doch ich freue mich natürlich sehr darüber, dass Sie, lieber Herr Rabbiner Bruckner, in Zukunft als Rabbiner der jüdischen Gemeinde Bochum arbeiten werden. Wir leben in Zeiten der Angst und Unsicherheit. Die Welt ist, wie es in einem bekannten israelischen Lied heißt, Gesher Tzar Meod, eine sehr enge Brücke. Umso wichtiger ist es, dass wir nicht in Angst verharren, sondern den Zusammenhalt innerhalb der jüdischen Gemeinschaft in Deutschland und weltweit stärken. Rabbinerinnen und Rabbiner made in Potsdam leisten dazu einen wichtigen Beitrag. Ich danke Ihnen dafür schon jetzt sehr herzlich und wünsche Ihnen für die zukünftigen Aufgaben viel Kraft, innere Ruhe, Erfolg und Spaß an der Arbeit. Mazal Tov.
Vielen Dank. Thank you, Mr. Lehrer. We are pleased to welcome here André Schaller to offer a few remarks. André Schaller represents the Brandenburg Parliament in place of Johannes Funke, who was unfortunately prevented at very short notice. Mr. Schaller is, among other things, responsible for religious affairs in the Parliament. Please, Mr. Schaller, join us.
Sehr geehrte Damen und Herren, dear guests, es freut mich sehr, dass auch ich Sie hier von der Bühne kurz begrüßen darf. Es freut mich sehr, auch noch mal darauf hinzuweisen, dass Sie hier am Zacharias Frankel Kolleg nach 2017 und 2020 in diesem Jahr bereits die 3. Ordinationsfeier mit Absolventinnen und Absolventen durchführen können. Und es ist mir persönlich eine ganz große Ehre, dass ich zu diesem Anlass ein kurzes Grußwort halten darf. Vielen Dank, dass ich das in Deutsch tun darf und herzliche Grüße von Johannes Funke, der leider kurzfristig an mich abtreten musste, wofür ich ihm aber fast schon wieder dankbar bin. Als ein Kind Brandenburgs darf ich Ihnen sagen, dass wir sehr, sehr glücklich darüber sind, dass mit Ihnen und auch dem Abraham-Geiger-Kolleg 2 wichtige jüdische Ausbildungsstätten hier in unserer Landeshauptstadt zu haben. Und wir sind auch darüber sehr glücklich, dass wir hoffentlich bald den Neubau der Synagoge in Potsdam hier in der Innenstadt fertigstellen können. Eine Ordinationsfeier wie diese heute ist auch 77 Jahre nach dem Ende des Zweiten Weltkrieges, dem Ende des Holocaust und eines menschenverachtenden Regimes ein ganz besonderes Ereignis, gerade für mich als jungen Deutschen. Diejenigen, die das jüdische Volk auslöschen wollten, haben nicht das letzte Wort der Geschichte gehabt. Jüdisches Leben und jüdische Religion blühen wieder in unserem Land, langsam, aber es blüht wieder. Nicht nur in Potsdam, sondern auch in Cottbus, in Oranienburg und in vielen anderen Städten. Der Namensgeber Ihres Kollegs, Rabbiner Zacharias Frankel, setzte sich für die Gleichstellung der Religionen ein, an eine akademische Gleichheit. Gleichstellung der Religionen war damals nicht zu denken, darauf hat der Präsident der Universität bereits hingewiesen, damals im 19. Jahrhundert. Das ist aber zum Glück heute anders. Und dafür bin ich und dafür sind wir sehr, sehr dankbar. Sie bilden hier am Zacharias Frankel-Kolleg umfassend aus und sie befähigen die Absolventinnen und Absolventen auch zum Dialog auf Augenhöhe mit Vertretern anderer wissenschaftlicher Disziplinen. Sie gestalten über die Ausbildung künftiger Akademiker hinaus auch die Forschung über das Judentum und den Dialog zwischen den Religionen als wichtiger Partner hier in unserer Hauptstadtregion Berlin-Brandenburg. Die in diesem Geist ausgebildeten künftigen Rabbinerinnen und Rabbiner werden, das ist meine große Hoffnung, viel zum gegenseitigen Verständnis der Religionen beitragen. Das Miteinander der verschiedenen Religionen darf nicht mehr von Unwissenheit, Vorurteilen und Ablehnung, sondern muss von gegenseitigem Respekt, Wertschätzung und Zusammenarbeit gekennzeichnet sein. Ich danke Ihnen, dass Sie dafür diesen wichtigen Beitrag leisten und lieber Herr Lehrer, ich möchte andersrum natürlich auch Ihnen versichern, sowohl als Abgeordneter des Landtages hier in Brandenburg, aber auch ganz persönlich, dass wir auch unseren Anteil leisten und dass wir die Sicherheit der jüdischen Einrichtungen hoffentlich gewähren und vielleicht eines Tages das einfach selbstverständlich ist, dass wir gar keine Sicherheitsvorkehrungen mehr brauchen, auch wenn es noch in weiter Ferne ist. Ich muss es leider auch für mich so eingestehen. Auf die 3 künftigen Rabbinerinnen und Rabbiner kommen verantwortungsvolle Aufgaben zu. Sie stehen den Gläubigen zur Seite, geben Ratschläge, erklären den Glauben und helfen bei der gemeinschaftlichen Religionsausübung, die für viele Menschen so wichtig ist. Sie werden ihnen in vielen Lebenslagen, den erfreulichen wie den schmerzvollen, mit Rat und Tat zur Seite stehen. Sie kamen aus Spanien, aus Frankreich, aus Kolumbien, hier nach Potsdam, um sich hier auf ihre kommenden Aufgaben umfassend und gründlich vorzubereiten. Mir wurde berichtet, dass alle 3 davor säkuläre Ausbildungen absolviert haben. Hier in Potsdam haben sie nun die breite wissenschaftliche Ausbildung erhalten, die sie in die Lage versetzt, sich fundiert und umfassend vorbereitet, um ihre künftigen Gemeinden und deren Mitglieder zu kümmern. Sie werden in ihren neuen Gemeinden in Barcelona, in Toulouse und in Bochum gehen und werden, so hoffe ich, ihre Ausbildung an dieser Stätte, unserer Landeshauptstadt Potsdam und das Land Brandenburg in guter Erinnerung behalten. Ich wünsche dem Kolleg auch künftig eine erfolgreiche Arbeit und Ihnen, den diesjährigen Graduierten, viel Kraft und Erfolg für Ihre künftigen Aufgaben und eine segensreiche Tätigkeit in Ihren zukünftigen Gemeinden. Mazel Tov.
Thank you, Mr. Schaller, especially to come to us on such short notice. Really appreciate it. It's now my pleasure to invite Rabbi Mauricio Balter, Executive Director of Masoti Olami and Merkaz Olami, to share his words of greeting. Masoti Olami is the official international movement of Masoti conservative Judaism based in Jerusalem, Israel, serving thousands of Masoti conservative Jews around the world. Dear Mauricio.
Thank you, Sandra. Shalom, dear friends, colleagues, and most important, I'm Gael, Andres, and Irena, our newly ordinated rabbis. I bring you a warm blessing from the international Masorti conservative movement of all communities around the world. We celebrate with you today the enormous blessing of 3 new rabbis in our movement. Much has already been written and said about the role of rabbi. In my opinion, the role of the rabbi nowadays is to be a clear voice for the society, a valuable voice that carries a message. It is not by chance that the ordination ceremony falls between Bereshit and Noach, Genesis and Noach, portion of the Torah. At the beginning in Genesis, we learn about the ideal man. In Noach, we learn about the real man, a person in the reality. Sometimes the gap between the ideal and the real man is vast. Unfortunately, we are often to the man as described in Noach, and less the man as described at the beginning in the Genesis, the ideal man. Your voice can change the worldview of the people you will meet and guide. Your voice should be clear and valuable, a voice that understands the message and simultaneously relates to both our Jewish sources and the reality in which we all live in. If you live only according to the holy text or only according to the harsh reality around us, your existence will never be balanced. The combinations between them will lead you to a moral and constructive voice, a balanced voice that our society very much needs. The role of being clear and valuable voice can often be isolating, but your belief and the relationship we will develop alongside your community will give you the required strength to cope and success. You may remember the beautiful midrash that tells the story of an old man from Sodom. Every day, he would leave his house to the residents and go show to them, repent for your sin, be good people. Until one day, a young boy approached to the old man and asked him, why do you keep saying that? Don't you understand that no one is listening to you? The old man answered the boy, I know that no one is listening to me, but I continue to shout it so that I don't forget either. Remind yourself, stick to our holy text and searching word. You will find the right values and you will bring with you a clear voice that can build a new and better world. In our tradition, the world was created by words. Through the words of God, the Torah teaches that words have enormous power to build a new and better world. I wish you much success in your path and the challenges you will face. We at Masorti and Merkaz Olami will be happy to support and assist you along the way.
Thank you, dear Mauricio, Rabbi Balte. It is now my pleasure to invite Debbie Kanner-Goldich, Vice Chair of the Advisory Board of the Ziegler School of Rabbinic Studies of the American Jewish University, to share words of greetings on behalf of Ziegler's Advisory Board. The Advisory Board of the Ziegler School operates as the overseeing body of that school and by extension is a partner in the religious oversight of the Frankel College. Mrs. Goldich is also the International President of Women's League of Conservative Judaism, which is responsible for raising significant funds for all the Masorti rabbinical seminaries, which there are 5 of. Thank you, Mrs. Goldich.
Good afternoon, Tzarayim Tovim, Guten Tag, Buenos Aires, and Bon Après-midi. On behalf of the Advisory Board of the Ziegler School of Rabbinic Studies and the Chair of the Board, Mr. Norman Levine, I bring warm greetings and congratulations on your ordination. Rabbi Brad Artson, Dean of the Ziegler School and the Zacharias Frankel College, whom you will hear very shortly through the magic of Zoom, and Rabbi Cheryl Peretz, Associate Dean of the Ziegler School and the Zacharias Frankel College, whom you have just heard from, join me in celebrating the achievements that have brought you to this day. We know and appreciate the dedication you have shown on the way to these achievements. The Ziegler School of Rabbinic Studies celebrates our partnership with the Zacharias Frankel College. We are committed to your success and to the success of the students that follow you. Today, I serve double duty. As the proud international president of Women's League for Conservative Judaism, I am honored and privileged to represent almost 40,000 women in North America, Israel, Uganda, Mexico, and Cuba, who support the Zacharias Frankel College through our dedicated philanthropy known as the Torah Fund campaign of Women's League for Conservative Judaism. Torah Fund financially supports all 5 Masorti seminaries throughout the world. They are the Ziegler School of Rabbinic Studies, the Jewish Theological Seminary, the Seminario Latinoamericano, the Schechter Institute, and the Zacharias Frankel College. The women of Women's League are proud to say that over the last 80 years, the Torah Fund has raised over $105 million to support these conservative Masorti seminaries. The Masorti communities of the world welcome these new rabbis into our movement. We need them today more than ever. Their success is vital to the continuation of our movement throughout Europe and the world. And to the new rabbis, Angel, Andres, and Irena, I say, you 3 have a great responsibility. Your work as rabbis will fill up most of your life. Be who you are and give to the Jewish world in the ways that only you can give. Help to create a world that you want to live in as a Masorti Jew. Serve your community and serve God with joy. Go out and do great work. And most of all, be proud of that work, for all of us are proud of you. B'hatzlacha and Mazal Tov.
Thank you. If we have learned anything in these past several years, it is that we have to be ready to revise plans when things don't happen as we want. Our founding dean, Rabbi Bradley Shavit Artson, cannot be with us in person today. Due to medical recovery, he had to stay in Los Angeles. But with the miracles of modern technology, we are able to hear a short video message from him. Rabbi Artson is an international champion of the conservative Masorti movement, and I know I speak for all of us when I applaud his leadership. The video message.
Shalom, friends. I'm very sorry I'm not able to be with you at this wonderful celebration, and hopefully my recovery will be increasingly complete, and I will see you for many smachot in the years ahead. But I did want to take advantage of this opportunity to greet you, to offer thanks on my behalf, on behalf of the entire Zacharias Frankel College, and just to be able to offer a couple words to our new rabbis soon to be ordained. Let me start by offering heartfelt thanks to Sandra and to the entire faculty of the college for the wonderful, wonderful work they do in training a new generation of Masorti conservative rabbis for Germany and for Europe. Let me salute the alumni of the school who are already doing such wonderful work, and to the student body whose courage and devotion inspires me every day. To Rabbi Cheryl Peretz for her wonderful work as a leader of the school, and to the members of the Rabbinic Cabinet, our heartfelt thanks. But primarily I'd like to address my beloved students about to be ordained, to Angel, to Andres, and to Irina. This has been a year of such chaos. I know you know that. But in such moments, I do want to point out something really important, and I want to take it from our Torah. So, at the very, very beginning, as God creates the earth, the Torah tips its kippah and offers us a really important insight to remember. V'haaretz hayta tohu vavohu v'choshech al pnei tehom v'ruach Elohim rachefet al pnei hamayim. And the earth was full of tohu vavohu, chaos, v'choshech al pnei tehom, and there was darkness on the face of the deep. V'ruach Elohim rachefet al pnei hamayim, and it was the Spirit of God, the wind of God, the energy of God, fluttered, vibrated over the face of the waters. You see, it turns out all creativity always comes from a place of chaos. Where things are settled and not questioned, there's no room for innovation, for creativity, for reaffirmation, for renewal. But this year has been a year both of chaos, but a year of reconsecration, a year of remembering just how sacred our mission is, to train up a new generation of European rabbis who will continue to energize and vitalize the Jewish community in Germany and beyond. So to the three of you, to Angael, to Andres, and to Irina, my heartfelt thanks. You, like the ones who've come before you, you are pioneers. You have worked so hard. You have focused on your learning and your studies, and you bring credit to the school and to your teachers. So on behalf of all of us, Mazal Tov. I know that your best days lie ahead of you. We are already so proud of you and so excited to see what will come. Shalom.
Thank you to Rabbi Artson. This felt pretty real, actually. And we all wish him continued healing. As you already heard from her opening blessing, our Associate Dean, Rabbi Cheryl Peretz, is a remarkable teacher and rabbi. Her organizational skills and personal attention has helped ensure that our program continues to offer the unique combination of Torah of the heart and of the mind. Rabbi Peretz will offer words of blessing to our soon-to-be rabbis and will preside over the ordination ceremony. Together, Rabbi Peretz and I have spent many hours dreaming of this day and for all that we do in the school. And I'm delighted to turn to her now. Rabbi Peretz will deliver her ordination address.
Thank you, Sandra. I know this audience has been very patient, and I'm going to ask you to indulge your patience for just a few more moments as I offer a few words of gratitude. Ours is a tradition that tells us there's never enough gratitude to offer, and then a few words of Torah. And the first and foremost acknowledgement that we need to make, all of us here and even those who couldn't be, is to Sandra Anushber. Sandra, without you, there would be no Frankel School. And I think that the students and the alumni and the rabbis and the faculty know that more than anyone else. And I want to thank you for your dedication and for the sacrifices that you have made. I also want to thank the University of Potsdam and Professor Gunther and all of the faculty and staff of the university whose partnership and vision for creating the School of Theology and the opportunity to have a religious program within the secular university that is unfounded in any other place. And so to you we say thank you and hope and pray that the partnership will continue for many, many more years. To all of our dignitaries from Merkaz Olami, Rabbi Maurizio Balter, though you didn't hear from him, to Yishar Hess, the vice chair of the World Zionist Organization in Israel, who is a champion of all things Jewish in Israel, but especially Masorti, and we thank you for being with us. To the Centralat and Mr. Lehrer, and to the Merkaz Germany, the Masorti Germany representatives, to Maurizio and to Deidre and to Eva and to Rabbi Gisa especially for her role in the school. We thank you. Again, without you, this wouldn't be able to happen, and so thank you for being a part of what we do. I also want to thank the Brandenburg State and the other governmental departments, the Ministry of Interior, and others that help make possible this education. I have to tell you, when I explain to people in the States how education works here in Germany, they're astounded. And so I feel like we have so much to learn from you and to offer gratitude for helping make this endeavor possible as well. I also want to express gratitude to Professor Gertemacher and to the staff and the faculty in the School of Theology, and those who are specifically assigned to the Frankel School and those who aren't. And in particular, I also want to mention, we had for several years visiting professors in Halakha, Rabbis Harvey Meyerovich and Rabbis Joel Rembaum, who we had the honor of bestowing honorary doctorates from the American Jewish University during the lunch today. And so to that entire group, we say thank you for helping to educate our students and appreciate all that you do. I'm getting close to the end of the list of thank yous, but I want to thank Debbie Goldich and Norman Levine and the advisory board of the Ziegler School, as well as all of the people of the American Friends of the Frankel School, led and created by Freddie Rembaum, without whom we wouldn't have organization of the school, and to all of our lay people who have made this possible from North America, we thank you as well. I want to take a moment to ask our alumni, I think we have 2 of the 3 here, to stand and be recognized. You represent, Netanel's way back there. Hi, Netanel. It's not easy, as I said at lunch, it's not easy to be the pioneers in a new program as it's being defined and refined. And so to you, I want to thank you for paving the way and for continuing to be a source of wisdom for those who choose Frankel and or who consider it in all kinds of ways. And we look forward to what you will do, as well as those who are current students. So I'll ask you to stand and be recognized as well, anyone who is currently studying in the Frankel School. And we hope and look forward to the day when you will be standing here about to be ordained as well. And there are a lot of rabbis here. You know, the only thing that I think brings more rabbis out together in one place than a rabbinic ordination is maybe a rabbinical assembly convention, but not by much. I'm always astounded at our ordinations at just how many rabbis come together to celebrate this welcome of new rabbis into the community. So I want to ask all the rabbis in the room to please rise and be recognized for your service to the Jewish people. I'll have a chance to thank him later, but I also want to acknowledge and recognize Rabbi Harold Kravitz, who is the president of the Rabbinical Assembly, the 1,700-member association of conservative rabbis, Masorti rabbis all over the world. And Harold, we're just deeply grateful to you for your support and for traveling to share this experience with us. And Acharon Chaviv, the last of the thank yous, I want to thank the family and friends of our soon-to-be rabbis, your partners, your parents, your siblings, your extended family. It's you who not only make this possible through your love and support, but it's also you who have and will continue, I suspect, have to learn to adapt to the sacrifices of your loved one serving others' needs when you might well want them in your home. And so to you, we say thank you, and I hope that you know that the Jewish people is greatly indebted to each one of you, and we thank you for being here today. And a few words of Torah and of blessing. Now, these flowers are a little bit in the way, so I feel like I'm looking at you through a veil. Maybe it's like Moses, with the shining of the face after seeing God's face, panim el panim. But words of blessing to the three of you. As many here know, this past Shabbat, we began reading the Torah anew. And as we scrolled back to the beginning of the Torah, we focused ourselves one more time on the story of creation and the way in which the one who creates worlds through words fashioned the stars in the skies, the plants and the animals, the human beings, and everything that is. And I want to focus on the very opening of the Torah, the creation of light. Perhaps because I'm very much aware how we're moving into that time of year when the hours of light in a day are so short, or because of the recent emergence that we have experienced from a world of darkness and isolation, or maybe even because there are far too many places and people in the world still seeking the light of freedom from oppression, from pain, from war and suffering. And here's what the Torah says. You probably know it. It's one of the few places where we all tend to know those opening phrases, right? Breshit bara Elohim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. God created the heaven and the earth. The earth became unformed and void. And then it goes on and says, Vayomer Elohim yehi or vayehi or. And God says, let there be light, and there was light. Vayar Elohim et haor ki tov. Vayavdel Elohim bein haor uvein hachoshech. God saw the light, and that it was good, and God separated between the light and the darkness. And God called the light day, and the darkness called night. And there was light, and there was dark, and there was evening, and there was morning, and it was the first day. It seems to be that the Torah is saying light is good. That's clear. And the opposite of light is what God calls darkness. So does that mean darkness is bad? Is it any wonder that we then gravitate towards light in our life, literally or even metaphorically? Darkness somehow becomes that place of fear, of unknown. The Midrash tells us that in the Garden of Eden, as Shabbat came, that first Shabbat, Adam saw the sunset and immediately became alarmed. He was afraid that the world was blacking out. He was running away, and he felt that he had somehow caused it to become dark. He feared that the serpent would get him again. He feared he would be consumed by this darkness around him. He thought this cosmic darkness not only reflected his inner darkness, but maybe he somehow had caused it, says the Midrash, says the author of this Midrash. So in the rabbinic imagination, the rabbi tells us that what God said to Adam in that moment is to say the following: Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei meorei ha'esh. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, who creates the light of fire. This is the blessing that we now say for Havdalah when we light fire and acknowledge this distinction between the holiness of Shabbat and the chol, the regularity of the rest of the week. Adam stood there afraid that he wouldn't see or be seen. He sensed that this darkness idea wasn't just about the sky turning black, but about inner uncertainty and turmoil. Still, he had to learn to contend with darkness and to realize that it too was part of God's creation. Because although we may want light and we may want sunshine and we may want to stave off bad moods or pain or suffering, it is as if the rabbinic imagination and even God is telling us that we need clouds and storms and darkness to fuel creativity. This is a message not just about the color of the sky or about Havdalah or about the day or night, but about the metaphorical light and darkness that every single one of us experience in our life. Think about the way we talk about God. We're most comfortable when we talk about wanting to walk in the light of God, where God's warmth shines on us, where God never abandons us and is a constant source of brightness. In just a few moments, our Beit Din, our rabbinic court, is going to bless you with the exact blessing of the priests who said, "Let God's light shine on your face." So we read this passage from the Torah, and we think that all light is good, and we read the plague of darkness in the book of Exodus, and we think all darkness is bad. But God made the light, and God made the dark. And the Torah doesn't actually say that all darkness is bad. Somehow that's our inference. And the truth is, that type of dichotomy, I believe, numbs us from some really important lessons. Some of our greatest learning, our greatest outcome, comes in the darkness. When we realize that darkness isn't just a deficiency or something to overcome, but rather it's through the darkness that we stumble on discoveries and even learn how to sit deep in our own pain when it's necessary. Sometimes that darkness can feel really overwhelming, and it can seem unending. It seems like more than we can bear, than we could possibly bear. Just last week, someone said to me, a community member in Los Angeles said to me, deep in the year of mourning for their parent, they said to me, "How am I supposed to go to shul, to synagogue, on Simchat Torah, and dance and sing with the Torah, when the pain of the loss is too big to hold the joy of celebration?" And so I find myself returning to this midrash, to the very moment that Adam would have said the bracha that God was instructing. Because in that moment of blessing, Borei Me'orei Ha'esh, it was darkness and light all at once. And perhaps that's our lesson as well. How do we hold space for joy and anguish, light and dark, at exactly the same moments? When Moses came down from the mountain with the second set of tablets, the Torah tells us, as I just alluded a moment ago, that his face was glowing. So much so that the people recoiled from the brightness of his face, and he had to put on a veil. Moses had spent time panim el panim with God, face to face in the light of God, and he was radiant. And basking in that light, however, it was in exactly that moment that Moses also actually realized that he needed help to build the tabernacle to accompany the people on their journey. And who was it that was called upon to be that helper? Bezalel. And we know that names in the Torah have significance. So Bezalel actually means in the shadow of God. Bezalel, the one who has the divine ability to assist Moses, was the man living in the darkness, without the light, in the shadow. We are told that he had 3 qualities that were important: chokhmah, skill; tvuna, ability; and da'at, knowledge. They seem the same, but they're really not. Rashi tells us that chokhmah, the skill, is that which he learned from others. And tvuna is that which he acquired from his own insights. And da'at, real knowledge, is that which the divine inspiration that came from the unknown, with a capital U, from living in the shadow. So it seems that this man who lives in the shadow, the place where direct light is not found, grew to his place because of what he learned from himself, what he learned from others, and what he learned from God. Darkness is not all bad, for without it, Bezalel would not have become the artisan who could create this Mishkan. It helped him grow. It was the prerequisite for the ability to fulfill his divine call. Moses needs Bezalel. Moses needs the shadow against his shining face. And we need our joy and our sobriety. We need the sunshine with the rain and the darkness with the light. This is the place of intersection, the place of great learning and of great possibility, where pain and loss and doubt can coexist with clarity and hope and healing. And so on Gael and Irina and Andres, I share this with everybody here because it's a lesson for all of us, but I think it's a unique blessing for each one of you today. You will be called to sit with people in darkness and to lead them to light. And because you're so sensitive, you will want to help them get to the light, and you should. But I want to bless you that you also help them see that the world is not a binary place. The world does not have to be light or dark, and that there is space for sitting in the pain, in the darkness. And when that darkness comes, as undoubtedly it will, I want you to look to yourself, to others, and to God to help guide that path. And the last thing I want to bless you with is that you'll be able to hold that same thought for yourself. For being a vessel for other people's life is an incredible privilege and an incredible honor. And it's also an incredible responsibility. And holding that space for others, it's so easy to dwell in darkness. And so for you, I bless you that you too learn from yourself, from your teachers, from your friends, from your colleagues, from your community members, and that you learn from God to help you move to the space of learning in the darkness that helps you find the light again. Mazal Tov, and may God bless you on this journey always. We're now getting to the students, to the new rabbis. At the Zacharias Frankel College, we take seriously the role of rabbi as teacher. For the past several years, the faculty of the school have shared their knowledge and insight to prepare these students for their career in the rabbinate. This afternoon, we invite our colleagues to teach us as we have taught them. Our ordinands have selected to teach by sharing how they define their rabbinate. You will notice, as it was said earlier, that each one will be speaking in the language that they are most comfortable in. On Gael, Andres, and Irina, we turn to you as our teachers and invite you to come forward to share. And I believe on Gael, you are first. On Gael Atius.
Merci, thank you.
Perhaps, since this talk is going to be in French, so who needs a translation? We have translations prepared in English and in German. Okay, so people will gonna come around and hand out translations. Sorry.
Je vais vous raconter une histoire. Quand j'étais enfant, ma mère, ma maman, me racontait une petite histoire qui vient d'un proverbe en arabe. Un homme demande à un autre « Que te manque-t-il à toi qui es nu ?» Et l'homme répond « Il me manque une bague, monsieur. » Dès le début de mes études rabbiniques, je savais que si je n'y prenais pas garde, le titre de rabbin pouvait devenir cette fameuse bague du proverbe, un accessoire clinquant qui, lorsqu'il était porté par une femme, présentait en plus l'attrait de la rareté. Aujourd'hui, je vais devenir, dans quelques instants, il semblerait, la 6e femme rabbin de France. Après Rabbi Pauline, Rabbi Floriane, Rabbi Delphine, Rabbi Daniela, Rabbi Iris. Et derrière moi, il y a encore des élèves rabbins en France, des femmes, élèves Marine, Sophie, Stéphanie, Ruth, Anna et Manon, qui étudient en Allemagne, à Jérusalem ou en France. 6e femme rabbin, ce n'est déjà plus un événement. Et pourtant, ce n'est toujours pas banal dans mon pays. Pour moi, il n'y a pourtant aucune différence à faire. Je veux être rabbin, tout simplement. Alors, à l'évidence, une part de mes fidèles à l'avenir va chercher en moi une forme de guidance. Rien que de dire ça, ça fait un peu peur, je vous l'avoue. Sur mon smartphone, comme vous, j'ai une application pour connaître l'heure du Shabbat. J'ai une autre application avec mon sidour pour la prière. Et j'ai encore une autre application pour le vocabulaire talmudique. Tout ça, n'importe qui peut télécharger tout ça. N'importe qui peut avoir ces applications. Dès lors, le rôle du rabbin ne peut pas se limiter à communiquer de l'information pure, des références. À ce jeu-là, Rabbi Google sera toujours meilleur que nous. Mais aujourd'hui, d'un rabbin ou d'une rabbin, on attend ce qu'un site internet ne pourra jamais faire. Une écoute, trouver les mots, faire le lien entre les textes et la pratique, les livres et la vie réelle, le tout en percevant les limites de sa fonction. Quand on m'a demandé pour cette cérémonie de choisir un verset pour ma présentation, j'ai choisi « Et la asot la Adonai et feru toratecha ». Il est temps d'agir pour Dieu, ils ont violé sa Torah. Le Talmud nous enseigne que ce verset peut être interprété de deux façons, du début à la fin ou de la fin au début. Alors si on reprend, il est temps d'agir pour Dieu car ils ont violé ta Torah. Et donc, dans ce sens-là, c'est sans doute le rôle du rabbin de rappeler la règle, parfois, un peu, beaucoup, souvent, parfois très 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 souvent. Mais aussi, on peut lire le verset différemment. Parce qu'ils ont violé ta Torah, alors il est temps d'agir pour Dieu. Et dans ce cas-là, cela signifie que cela devient notre devoir, les dorvadors, de génération en génération, de savoir bouger les lignes. Toujours de rester dans un cadre, bien sûr, mais de savoir bouger les lignes quand cela s'impose. Quand une interprétation de la loi devient trop rigide, elle finit par éloigner les Juifs de la Torah. Dans ma vie, j'aurais connu les 3 courants du judaïsme en France. J'ai grandi dans les écoles juives du consistoire, qui est le mouvement orthodoxe en France. Et là-bas, la vision de la femme qu'on m'enseignait m'a finalement éloignée. Et pourtant, c'est là, dans ces écoles, que j'ai pris goût au cours de Kodesh, à l'étude de la Torah. J'ai découvert plus tard, à l'âge de 20 ans, avec enthousiasme, le judaïsme libéral, grâce au rabbin Pauline Beb, qui m'a montré que judaïsme et modernité pouvaient se conjuguer. Mais quelques années plus tard, des années plus tard, j'ai réalisé à quel point le lien à la halakha me manquait. Ce lien, ce cadre à la fois fort mais souple. Au Zacharias Frankel, ce collège m'a sorti, j'ai pu renouer avec ses enseignements halachiques. Dans cette formidable école où chaque élève est respecté dans sa culture d'origine, où aucune nationalité ne cherche à imposer son modèle. En France, c'est à Toulouse, dans une communauté libérale aux habitudes un petit peu conservatives, que je vais pouvoir exercer bientôt. Une communauté qui se démène depuis trop longtemps sans l'aide d'un rabbin, et où je pourrais être utile, je l'espère, immédiatement. Agir concrètement pour amener dans la famille ceux qui sont éloignés et renouer la chaîne de la transmission. J'ai consacré mon mémoire, ma master thesis, aux conversions réalisées au Maroc. J'ai appris que mon arrière-grand-père, Albert Ohaillon, à Casablanca, était témoin pour le tribunal rabbinique lors des conversions. Les batédines du Maroc se montraient particulièrement accueillants envers les enfants de pères juifs ou les conjoints de juifs. Preuve que même dans le monde orthodoxe, parfois, on a su agir pour qu'aucun juif ne soit laissé sur le bord de la route. J'espère, en tant que rabbin, que je parviendrai à m'adresser à tous, à ceux qui ont ouvert des livres, comme à ceux qui ne les ouvrent jamais, à ceux qui prient avec foi, comme à ceux qui viennent juste à la synagogue pour faire plaisir à papa ou maman. Bref, j'espère tous les accompagner dans les différentes étapes de leur vie. J'espère être avec eux dans la vie. Je le ferai avec ce que j'ai appris des rabbins qui m'ont enseigné, bien sûr. Je le ferai aussi peut-être un peu avec ce que la vie m'a appris. Il faut bien qu'il y ait un petit avantage de commencer une nouvelle carrière à près de 50 ans. Le Talmud Megillah nous dit, si une personne vous dit « j'ai travaillé dur, mais je n'ai pas trouvé le succès », le Talmud Megillah nous dit « ne la croyez pas ». Puis il continue, si une autre personne vous dit « je n'ai pas fait d'efforts et j'ai trouvé le succès », ne la croyez pas. Mais si cette personne vous dit « j'y ai mis toutes mes forces et j'ai trouvé le succès », la croyez-la. Alors vous pouvez me croire, cette reprise d'études, tardive dans ma vie, fut longue, éprouvante, pour moi comme pour ma compagne Henriette, qui n'a jamais douté, même quand moi, je doutais. Elle a aussi été longue pour mes parents, qui depuis près de 30 ans ont compris qu'ils ne comprendraient pas toujours où je vais, mais sont restés toujours persuadés que j'arriverais sûrement à destination. À travers toutes les synagogues où j'ai pu officier, de celle du rabbin Florian Chinsky à celle du rabbin Gabriel Fari à Paris, et surtout la communauté AJLT de Toulouse qui m'a accueillie avec tant de chaleur depuis 3 ans, eh bien à travers toutes ces communautés, j'ai compris une chose. Ce titre de rabbin, je l'ai désiré. J'ai travaillé pour. Et il est désormais inscrit sur un joli document qui doit être par là, et qu'on va peut-être me remettre dans quelques instants. Mais au bas de ce document, je sais déjà qu'il manque des signatures. Il manque les signatures de tous les fidèles qui, à l'avenir, accepteront de me considérer comme leur rabbin. Alors, je ne serai plus comme cet homme du proverbe qui était tout nu et qui pensait avoir besoin d'une bague. Les fidèles m'auront aidé à revêtir mes nouveaux vêtements. Et la sot la Adonai, il est temps d'agir pour Dieu.
My pleasure to call Andres Breckner to share a few words now.
Shavua Tov. Mein Wunsch, Rabbiner zu werden, begann, als ich das erste Mal eine Seite des Talmuds sah. Mir wurde klar, dass so viel Arbeit nicht nur das Ergebnis eines historischen Prozesses oder einfach der Wille sehr hartnäckiger Menschen sein konnte. Mein Ziel war es daher, eine andere Erklärung dafür zu finden, warum unsere Vorfahren so viel Mühe in alle diese Bücher gesteckt hatten. Worum es geht, wie ich denke, verrate ich Ihnen und euch später. Zuerst möchte ich etwas Interessantes über rabbinische Arbeitsverträge erzählen. Vor ungefähr 2 Monaten habe ich in einem Buch des elsässischen Historikers Simon Schwarzfuchs den Arbeitsvertrag des Rabbiners Ariel Benacher Günzburg am Ende des Ancien Regime mit der jüdischen Gemeinde von Metz in Frankreich gefunden. Dieser Rabbiner ist auch bekannt als der Sha'agat Aryeh. Er wurde in Pinsk geboren und war ein bekannter Talmudist. Es gibt sogar eine Geschichte, nach der dieser Rabbiner den Talmud in seinem Leben 1000 Mal gelesen hat. Ich behalte für mich, wie viele Male ich den Talmud gelesen habe, um diesen Rabbiner nicht in eine peinliche Lage zu bringen. Seine Aufgaben als Rabbiner sind im Vertrag wie folgt aufgelistet. Er musste Heiratsversprechen auf Hebräisch Tnaim schreiben, Eheverträge auf Hebräisch Ketubot schreiben, Zeugen beibringen in Streitfällen, in denen es um Beleidigung und Schlägereien ging, Waisenkinder helfen, Urteile in Immobilien- und Erbschaftssachen abgeben. Am Ende wird seine Rolle als Lehrer präzisiert. Jeden Tag sollte er einen Vortrag halten und er sollte mit 20 begabten Jungen der Gemeinde gründlich jüdische Texte studieren. Dafür hat so ein großer Rabbiner nicht viel mehr als 1000 Pfund pro Jahr erhalten. Das würde heutzutage grob geschätzt 6000 € pro Jahr ausmachen. Damit will ich nicht die jüdischen Gemeinden in Deutschland motivieren, solche interessanten Gehälter zu zahlen. Ich verrate auch nicht, wie groß mein Gehalt ist, um nicht schon wieder diesen Rabbiner in eine peinliche Lage zu bringen. Mein Ziel ist es aber zu zeigen, wie selbstverständlich es für die Juden damals war, ein jüdisches, halachisches Leben zu führen. Wenn ich mir jetzt die Aufgaben meines Arbeitsvertrages ansehe, sind nur 1 oder 2 dieser erwähnten Aufgaben aufgelistet. Das Wesentliche aber in meinem Vertrag ist nicht nur meine Rolle als Toralehrer. Jedes Mal, wenn ich ihn lese, spüre ich, dass diese Gemeinde sich jemanden wünscht, der für sie da ist, der ihnen zuhört, der sich für die Geschichte ihrer Mitglieder interessiert. Sie wollen nicht, dass der Rabbiner von seinem großen Stuhl aus Tora lehrt. Sie wollen jemanden, der tatsächlich eine Beziehung zu ihnen aufbaut. Dieses Thema der Beziehung steht im Zentrum des Tanachs, der hebräischen Bibel. Denn in der Bibel geht es nicht nur um Gott und es geht nicht nur um das Volk Israel. Es geht jedoch um die Beziehung zwischen diesen beiden. Daher, als wir an Simchat Torah mit der Torah-Rolle tanzten, feierten wir nicht nur die Torah, sondern diese Beziehung, die wir alle zu Gott haben. Und jedes Mal, wenn eine ernsthafte Beziehung entsteht, wird ein Vertrag geschlossen, in unserem Fall die Torah. Deshalb bilden der letzte und der erste Buchstabe der Torah das hebräische Wort Lev, Herz. Das war in der Tat immer meine Vermutung. All die Mühe, die hinter unserer Tradition steckt, ist nur die Frucht dieser Beziehung. Und das ist mein Meta-Vertrag als Rabbiner. In der Lage zu sein, diese Beziehung fortzusetzen, indem ich von der Beziehung lerne, die unsere Vorfahren bereits hatten, und in der Lage zu sein, sie an die Nächsten weiterzugeben, damit auch sie ihre Beziehung gestalten können. Wir tragen diese Beziehung, aber sie trägt auch uns. Nicht zuletzt ist dies für den Aufbau von Beziehungen zu Menschen wichtig, ihre Sprache zu sprechen. Ich war deswegen sehr froh, Deutsch zu lernen und ich habe es mit ganzem Herzen getan. Aber jetzt, da ich in einer deutschen jüdischen Gemeinde arbeite, wurde mir klar, dass Russisch und nicht Deutsch die wirklich wichtige Sprache ist. Deshalb muss man diese ganze Sache des Rabbinersdaseins mit einer Menge Humor nehmen. In einer Pew Research Umfrage aus dem Jahr 2006 wurden Juden in Israel und in den USA gefragt, warum sie stolz darauf sind, jüdisch zu sein. 10% antworteten, dass Juden viel Humor haben. Vielen Dank, Shabbat Tov.
I promise you we are getting very close to the moment of ordination, but before we do so, we're going to hear a little bit of Torah from Irina.
Change of glasses. One gets old. Bona tarda a tothom. I was just saying some words in Catalan, which is one of my mother tongues. So thank you very much, all of you who are here, and thank you very much those of you I know, part of my family and friends and the community are watching us online. So, unlike my colleagues, I never wanted to become a rabbi. As a child, there were far more adventurous and exciting jobs to dream of. What I wanted to become was a comedian, or an actress, or a comic book artist. Even once, I thought I wanted to become a judge. Always aspired to be a Jedi Knight, and ultimately, why not, a teacher? But come to think about it, maybe I always wanted to become a rabbi, and I didn't know it. After all, there is something of a comedian in a rabbi, a judge, and certainly a teacher. I'm not that sure about a Jedi Knight or a comic book artist, though. When I was doing my interview to enter Frankel Rabbinical School, sitting in front of very serious people, very serious, some of them might even be here wondering how I managed to be finally here. I was asked very serious questions, as it should be, one of them being what my biggest influences in Judaism were, meaning being in Germany, and very serious-looking committee, asking very serious questions. What books I had read that had influenced me most? In short, what was my Jewish intellectual background? I stood there, silent, and suddenly completely terrified. I could not tell them the truth. How was I supposed to tell them that my biggest influences were people they have probably never heard about? People such as Will Eisner, Jack Kirby, Stan Lee, Joe Kubert, Joe Shuster, and Jerry Siegel, or comedians such as Jerry Seinfeld or the Marx Brothers. How could I tell them that my biggest Jewish influences were a bunch of comic book writers, artists, and comedians? So I just blocked. That's for another story. Some might be surprised to hear this, but it's my firm belief that comedy and popular culture, such as comic books, belong to Jewish culture as much as the Talmud and the Mishnah. Many of those comic book artists that so greatly influenced me were of Eastern European origin, and some of them recreated Hasidic tales they might have heard as children, turning their protagonists into superheroes who either saved the world from monsters or fought to repair the world. Sounds familiar? Some of those superheroes even traveled to Europe to fight with the Allies in the Second World War, while others fought against racism or any other form of discrimination in the early 60s, 70s, and 80s, and even later in their careers, a few of those comic book writers wrote about their complicated relationship with God. Comedians used absurd language and never-ending discussions about nothing, especially Jerry Seinfeld, to make people laugh, sometimes recreating, surprise, surprise, the endless Talmudic debates in which one ends up wondering after several pages what everything was about, if anything was about. However, I've learned much these past 6 years, although not enough, because there is never enough to learn. In Ta'anit 3a, 4b, we read, Rabbah said, snow to the mountains, strong rain to trees, light rain brings benefit to fruit, drizzle, urpila, is even beneficial to a seed, patsida, under a clod. Even the drizzle is beneficial to a seed, even if that seed is under a pebble or under very dry soil. Water gets through. Water is more powerful than stones. Water is life. Water is Torah. In Sifrei Devarim, we read that just as water or rain brings life to the world, words of Torah bring life to the world. Sometimes those words of Torah come in the form of solid white snow. Sometimes they're poured down from heavens with force and soak us. Sometimes it is just light rain, but sometimes it just drizzles. Comic books and Jewish comedy was my drizzle. The water that falls from the most unexpected places and falls upon the least expected, me. The seed under very dry soil, that was me. In Ta'anit 7a, we also read that only those who are humble can retain words of Torah, can really learn Torah. If Torah is compared to water and rain, rain falls from above downward, and only if you are humble enough down can you drink from it and learn from it. So I was in the right position, being just a seed under very dry soil. That was precisely the first lesson I learned when I finally entered Rabbinical School. Professor Kosman told us, if you want to become a rabbi, you have to be humble. You must leave your ego at the door. So I let my ego at the door and set up to learn from scratch, seeking for the rain that would follow me and fill me finally with Torah. So the drizzle became a light rain and then a strong rain, and now I can say that not only Joe Kubert, Will Eisner, or Chris Claremore influenced me the most, but also Moshe Ben Maimon, Joseph Ben Ishchai, Joseph Soloveitchik, Rabbi Mordechai Kaplan, Rabbi Neil Gilman, Rabbi Lord Jonathan Sachs, Rachel Adler, Betty Friedan, Judith Plasko, Judith Baskin, Tivka Freimer-Kensky, and so on and so forth. As you can tell from the last names I just mentioned, the strong rain also make my consciousness for feminism and equal rights grow. That's why I want to finish with a very clear message. I mentioned at the beginning that I never wanted to become a rabbi as a child. I am sure there are many girls out there who think that they don't want to become a rabbi either. Not because it is not exciting enough, as I thought, but because they think they can't. I would like to finish by telling them that yes, you can become rabbis if you want. You will be asked many times if there are any rabbis who happen to be women in the world, because many people don't know that there are. Today, 2 rabbis who happen to be women are being ordained, and there are other rabbis in the audience who happen to be women too. Girls, if you have not seen a woman reading Torah, being called to an aliyah, or leading a service, it is not because we can't, but because of gender discrimination. Make no mistake. Gender discrimination is not authenticity and not legitimacy. It is just pure and simple gender discrimination. Read, learn, and pray if you want, but don't let anyone tell you that you cannot become a rabbi because you are a woman. Thank you. I see many feminists around. Okay, and I'd like to say some apologies, and I'd like to say some thank yous. And since I am the last one, I'm going to say the thank yous in the name of the three of us. But first of all, my personal thank yous and apologies. My first apology is to my nieces, my three little nieces who are watching me now, and I would like to apologize for these 6 years that I have not been able to play with you as much as I wanted to and as much as you wanted me to. And for the thank yous, first and foremost, I would like to thank my husband, who's there, and no matter how many new languages I learn, dead and alive, I will never find the words to express how much I want to thank you and how much, well, whatever I feel for you, you know. Thanks to my amazing family, my mom, my dad, Ada, his wife. I know you thought I was here learning German, more Latin, and more classical Greek, apart from becoming a rabbi, but I just didn't have time. Thanks to my Wonder Woman, my sister who's watching it, and her husband, happy birthday, by the way. Thanks to my friends who have always been there on the phone, you know what I mean, and they're there looking at me. Thanks to Rabbi Giza Ederberg for accepting being my presenter, for her teachings, and foremost for her friendship. Thanks to Rabbi Stephen Berkowitz for being my mentor these past 2 years and for his patience. Thanks to Rabbi Joel Rembaum and Rabbi Merovich for their love, wisdom, and hospitality. Thanks to my colleagues here, especially Andres, for pushing me always to learn more and become a better rabbi. Thanks, last but not least, to my congregation at Tid, who are watching us now, for all your love, passion, and enthusiasm, for being here and there today, for giving me the chance to start and be part of your project. It's not easy to choose a woman as a rabbi in a congregation, I know. And now I would like you two to come here so we can say thank you to... There are some people the three of us would like to say that we are very thankful to. First of all, surprise, surprise, Dr. Sandra Anusievich by
Our Jewish mother.
And Gaia says that you're our Jewish mother. So for being there, always 24/7, and for keeping it up. Thank you very much. Rabbis Cheryl Peretz and Rabbi Bradley Artson for their teachings, their wisdom, everything. Very important. Jens, Tobias, Martin, Susan, Suzanne, Devorah, and Anne, thank you so much. Rabbi Eli Reich, Rabbi Jonas Simon, Simon Skollenblut, Isidor Abramovich, Rabbi Niels Ederberg, thank you very much for your teaching. Rabbi Netanel and Rabbi Josh for the Talmud, the Halakha, the praying together, and foremost your friendship. And to all our colleagues, former students and alumni of the Zacharias Frankel College and the Abraham Geiger College, thank you very much. Thank you.
Angael, Andres, and Irina are now going to lead us in the Kaddish de Rabbanan, the Kaddish that we say when we've finished a chapter of study. It doesn't mean we're finished learning, but that we finished a chapter, and they finished this chapter. So I'm going to ask you to please rise as they recite the Kaddish de Rabbanan.
יתגדל ויקדש שמי רבה, בעלמא יברח ירותה וימליך מלכותה, בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בגלה ובזמן קריב, ואמרו אמן. יהא שמה רבה מבורך לעולם ולעלמי עלמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתקומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתקלל שמי וקדושה בריחו. לעילה מנקור ברכתה ושיעתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דמרים בעלמה ואמרו אמן. על ישראל ועל רבנן ועל תלמידי חון ועל כל תלמידי חון ועל כל מעם דעשיקים באורייתא די ואתרא קדישא הדין וי בכל אתר ואתר יהא לכון ולכל שלם הרבה הינה וחסדה ורחמים חיי אחי ומוזיני ורביעך וחוקה מן קנה ויחנתי בשמם ואמרו אמן. אמן. יהא שלמה רבה מן שמיא וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו והוא יעשה ברחמים השלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you, Gael, Andres, and Irina. You may be seated for the moment. Jewish law requires that most official acts be sanctioned by a Beit Din, a rabbinical court of at least 3 rabbis. As we turn to the ordination of our new rabbis, we will convene such a Beit Din who will officially invite our students into the rabbinic community. We welcome Rabbi Harold Kravitz, President of the International Rabbinical Assembly of the Masorti Movement, and Rabbi Chaim Wiener, Av Beit Din of the European Masorti Beit Din, to join me in serving as members of the Beit Din. I would like to invite them to join me on the bima at this time. We thank Rabbi Kravitz and Rabbi Wiener to each of them our deepest appreciation for traveling a considerable distance to be with us today. We are honored to have you as participants in this ordination and know that your distinguished leadership is much appreciated. I'm going to invite Rabbi Kravitz to just share a few brief words of welcome on behalf of the Rabbinical Assembly, after which we will turn to our students being presented for ordination.
Thank you. I'm delighted to represent the Rabbinical Assembly and our more than 1,600 members globally in extending our best wishes and mazal tov to all of you very soon to be rabbis, Angel, Andres, Irina, Chaverim, colleagues, that we welcome you to offer mazal tov to you, your families, your teachers, and really to the entire Jewish people as you now begin your careers. We are so pleased to have each of you joining the ranks of our Rabbinical Assembly. I hope you find the RA a wonderful professional association that will support you for a lifetime in the rabbinate. I'm reminded today of my own years as a rabbinical student. I started my studies in Los Angeles at was then known as the University of Judaism, that has since become the Ziegler Rabbinical School of the American Jewish University. I think back to one of the special teachers that I had there who introduced me to the field of Midrash, rabbinic interpretation of Torah. It was Professor Eliezer Slomovic, Zichrono Livracha, of blessed memory. Professor Slomovic was born in Slotvina, a Ukrainian town just across the river from Sighet, Romania. Eliezer was a Holocaust survivor and a cousin of Elie Wiesel, who lived on the other side of the river. Both were named for the same grandfather. Eliezer experienced the horrors of the Shoah as a survivor of Auschwitz. But I've never known a person who was more kind. He deeply impressed upon us the value of chesed, loving kindness in the Torah he taught us. He was deeply steeped in Torah and in Jewish practice. He used to say about his upbringing that it was further from Los Angeles to Slotvina than it was from Slotvina to the time of the rabbis. One of the many things I remember fondly about Rabbi Slomovic was sitting down to begin his class and having him look at us and say, "I have lots of answers for you today. I need you first to ask some good questions." As a person of enormous learning, Professor Slomovic had so much he could bring to us as students, but he was wise enough and modest enough to understand that his teaching would be most effective when it grew out of the questions that we brought to our studies. Yesterday, I had the honor of giving the Shabbat morning service at the Rengenberger Strata Synagogue. We looked at chapters 3 and 4 of the book of Genesis, and we noticed that no sooner did human beings arrive in the world than questions started to be asked. I suggested that in those chapters, God models the importance of our starting with questions to show our interest and curiosity. If God, who is presumed by the rabbis to be all-knowing, begins with questions, how much the more so should we, as human beings who certainly are not all-knowledgeable, begin with questions? As newly ordained rabbis, you have undoubtedly learned much and have so much to bring to the world and to the communities that will be blessed to have you serve them. I encourage you to follow Dr. Slomovik's model as a teacher, and of course, God's modeling. Enter the communities where you will work with curiosity. Listen carefully and empathically to your people's questions to determine what it is they need, rather than by starting with the answers you hope to provide. May you be blessed with wonderful, long, and successful careers as rabbis in our Masorti conservative movement and as members of our rabbinical assembly. May you find joy and satisfaction wherever that journey leads you, and may you be blessed with shlemut, with wholeness, with integrity, with well-being, and with peace. And let us say, Amen. Amen.
We have asked each of our rabbinical school graduates to select a mentor to sponsor their candidacy for ordination. This individual has had a significant influence on the candidate for ordination, and their presence here symbolizes the continuity of Jewish life and study as it is transmitted from teacher to student. It is now my pleasure to call upon Angael Atias and her sponsor, Rabbi Stephen Berkowitz. About Angael, Rabbi Berkowitz has said, "I know that you will be a light and an inspiration to all Jews from all walks of life. You will be able to bring them closer with your warmth and your intellect to Torah and to community." Come forward. Be a team.
I'm pleased to be able to present Angael Atias, once my student, now my Talmidah Chavira, my colleague, as Rav.
I am pleased to call upon Andres Bruckner and his sponsor, Professor Admiel Kosman. About Andres, Professor Kosman has said, "I personally learned from my conversations with Andres a lot, and also from his silence. I believe that Andres is one of the young rabbis who will make the attempt to educate his community to understand the need to correct the situation."
Be'ezrat Hashem, I am pleased to be able to present Andres Bruckner, once my student, now my Talmid Chaver, my colleague as Rav.
It's a good sign. It's a good sign.
I am pleased to call upon Irina Musas-Klelpe and her sponsor, Rabbi Gisa Ederberg. About Irina, Rabbi Ederberg has said, "You have a unique gift to combine fantasy and theology, to understand the deep power of images and imagination, and to bring seemingly contrasting aspects of life together."
I'm pleased to be able to present Irene Musas-Klelpe, once my student, now my Talmidah Chavera, my colleague as Rav.
May I ask you to please rise as we invite community leaders of the communities our new rabbis will be serving after their ordination. Roger Matatiatia, Vice President de Judaism and Movement in France. Grigoria Rabinovich, President of the Community of Bochum, Germany. And Sylvia Laida, President of Atid, the community in Barcelona, who will open the ark for the moment of ordination. It is my honor and pleasure, after you take a seat, it is my honor and pleasure to welcome into the rabbinic community Rabbi Angael Victoria Atias, Harav Avigail Bat Nachman Ve'Esther. Rabbi Andres Bruckner, Harav Yitzchak ben Avraham. Rabbi Irene Musas Kelpa, Harav Miriam bat Avraham Shokurela, Harav Miriam bat Ashkelon. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to present to you, to this community, the world's newest rabbis. I've been spending the last several moments wondering how many people were going to get so mad that we were keeping you for so long, and then you want to keep us even longer. But it's really a moment of joy, and we don't want to stop the celebration. But I do want to invite Rabbi Gisa Ederberg, the rabbi of the Oranienburger Strasse Synagogue, the Masorti rabbi here in Judaism, and it's her special relationship with our students and with our school that helps make possible our connection to the Tenuah, our connection to the movement. Rabbi Ederberg is going to lead us in the Shechianu blessing, the blessing to mark that we've reached this moment and this time in this day, and then we'll close our ceremony.
Thank you so much. Please join me. Na, titzterfu elai. Please, bitte sagt es mit mir. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam sheheyanu vekiyemanu veigianu lazman hazeh.
this was the third ordination of the Zacharias Frankel College. On behalf of the faculty and administration of the college, I want to thank all of you for being with us today to celebrate this truly joyous occasion. Thank you to Rabbi Peretz. Thank you to the members of the Beit Din, to the presenters, to community leaders, and a huge mazel tov to our rabbis. During the musical recession, there's going to be a little bit of music, but you're already allowed to move, and please allow our newly ordained rabbis and our honored guests to descend from the bima and to lead us to the dessert reception. It's got a little bit late. I planned this as a dessert reception, but this could be also an early dinner, but it's a dessert reception. And we have a chance to continue celebrating there, and you also have a chance to watch the cartoons. Don't forget about the cartoons. So it's one floor below in a seminar room and in the foyer. Thank you. Thank you.